Dillian the Body Snatcher right here. It's a champ. Big up to Sporting Icon. Subscribe. Otherwise, I might pay you guys a visit.
Okay, so thank you very much to the few of you who've been sending me the footage of Dillian Whyte confronting the WBC president, Mauricio Sulaiman. This was on the Wembley Stadium pitch right after the Tyson Fury Dillian Whyte press conference, where Dillian and Tyson were both having pictures together. Mauricio Sulaiman was there. Of course, he's bringing the union belt and all that kind of stuff. But of course, he's going to be there anyway, because firstly, it's a mega fight, and Mauricio Sulaiman likes to get his face in on the pictures. We know what that's all about. But anyway, I'll put a link to that footage in the description box, as always, for you to go have a watch once this video is finished. I shall remind you before this video is finished that it's there. Now, word for word, listen, I can't recite all that, but pretty much in a nutshell, Dillian Whyte was confronting Mauricio Sulaiman because Mauricio Sulaiman was saying to him, well, you've got to be happy that you're here. It's Wembley Stadium. You're fighting for the WBC World Heavyweight Championship. You're the WBC mandatory, blah, blah, blah. And Dillian was like, well, yeah, I am. But why is it taking so long to get here? I should have had my shot a long time ago. I should have fought Wilder a long time ago. Why did you stop me from fighting Deontay Wilder? And Mauricio Sulaiman was like, oh, why do you keep having to talk about the past? It's not about the past, it's about now. And he's like, yeah, it is about now. And again, before anybody says anything, yes, he should be concentrating on Tyson Fury, and he will be. But Dillian isn't just going to meet the guy who screwed him over for the past 3.5 years, how long it is now, and just shake his hand, have a cuddle and that. No, he's going to say a few words first. And that's ultimately what it is that he's done, which is that you have put me through mental hell. You have cost me millions. I'm only here fighting Fury because I had to go through court. And even then, you're still trying to screw me because I'm only getting 20%, when a WBC mandatory, as per WBC rules, gets 30%. Dillian Whyte is also the interim champion, which means he should get up to 45%. So the number should be between 30 and 45% on the split. But I'm only getting 20%. So again, it's cost him a lot of money anyway, in legal fees and all these kind of things that he's had to do to get here. Plus, even on the split, he ain't getting a fair split. He's getting good money. Let's not say that he's not, because obviously he's getting a smaller split of a larger pot. Okay, so it may just about even itself out, but still, it ain't the point. It's about principles. And the fact that Deontay Wilder, when he was champion, we know that Wilder had a very good relationship with the WBC. Mauricio Sulaiman liked him a lot and would allow him to go fight whoever it is that he wanted to fight. Voluntary after voluntary after voluntary, when you're supposed to be defending your belt against a mandatory once a year. So in the 5 years, maybe even 6 years, that Wilder was champion, he only had 2 mandatory defences. Should have had 5 or 6. And Dillian Whyte should have been there because he was the number 1 in the WBC. He became the number 1 in the WBC when he defeated Robert Helenius. That was for the WBC silver title. That's how he became number 1. Does number 1 mean mandatory? No, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't. But it should mean something, should count for something. And if a mandatory is going to be called, Dillian Whyte should be in that position to fight somebody for the mandatory position. But they kept skipping over him, allowing other people to do it. Dominic Brazil against Eric Molina. Dominic Brazil defeated Eric Molina and became mandatory, even though Dominic Brazil at the time was ranked, number 5 or maybe even number 7. Molina was ranked all the way down the bottom. But even though the WBC president, Mauricio Sulaiman, said to Dillian Whyte and Eddie Hearn, that fight is not going to be for the mandatory position, and then changed his mind. And he tried to justify it by saying, well, Dominic Brazil, who's supposed to take on the mandatory challenger, Bermane Stiverne, who he should never have been mandatory anyway, Bermane Stiverne, the absolute bum that he is. But Dominic Brazil was supposed to fight Bermane Stiverne. That fight fell apart because Luis Ortiz failed a drug test, didn't he? A PED test. So Bermane Stiverne stepped in to replace Luis Ortiz. You'll remember that Showtime and that didn't want that fight. They refused to put that fight on TV when it's meant to be Wilder and Stiverne. They refused it. But ultimately, because it got quite late, and they'd already agreed the times and everything for Showtime to be showing Deontay Wilder's fight, they had to allow him to fight Bermane Stiverne on TV. But Dominic Brazil, well, that was his mandatory position shot. So therefore, him fighting Molina, that's going to be for the mandatory. It's wrong. Brazil should have fought Dillian Whyte. He should have fought Dillian Whyte. And by the time that Dillian Whyte and Dominic Brazil had been ordered to fight, which was quite some time later, Again, negotiations are ongoing. Donald Brazil pulls out of the negotiations because he gets the world title shot straight away. So again, that wasn't Dillian Whyte's fault. Luis Ortiz got 2 shots at Deontay Wilder. He wasn't above Dillian Whyte. Tyson Fury got 3 fights with Wilder. 2 of them as challenger, 1 of them as champion, of course. But the point is that Fury should never have gotten the world title shot before Dillian Whyte to start with. People may say, yeah, but he was a unified champion when he defeated Klitschko. Yeah, because he was ranked high in the WBO and the WBA. WBC, he was not. So when he fought Klitschko, had nothing to do with the WBC whatsoever. And when Tyson and Deontay Wilder agreed for their fight in the first place, Fury was not ranked in the top 15 of the WBC. For a champion to defend his belt against somebody, they have to be at a minimum top 15, ideally top 10. These are the rules by the WBC. Fury was not. So they'd already agreed to fight, even though Fury wasn't ranked in the top 15. And then towards the fight, as the fight was getting a little bit closer, the WBC had to put out a press release saying how the fight might be pulled because Fury is not enrolled in VADA. Because for him to fight for the world title, you have to be enrolled in VADA, and he wasn't. And for the WBC clean boxing program, he wasn't ranked in the top 15. So they elevated him into the top 15, and then last minute, he went through the VADA. And then, of course, the fight happened. At this point, they already agreed to a rematch. Of course, a rematch didn't happen because the first fight was officially ruled a draw. We all know Fury won that fight, but he got screwed in that one, let's be honest. But the fight was officially a draw. Fury went and fought Tom Schwartz and Otto Wallin. In that period, Dillian Whyte fought Oscar Rivas. This was for the official mandatory position. Eventually, the mandatory position after Donald Brazil had already had his world title shot. But then, adverse finding with the UCAD sample. Again, UCAD, not VADA, as per the WBC protocol, so it should have made absolutely no difference. The WBC suspended Dillian Whyte, took away his mandatory position and his interim title, suspended him. And rather than wait for the investigation to be fully complete, they awarded Tyson Fury the mandatory position. Why? So he can have that rematch with Deontay Wilder. They weren't willing to wait for the investigation to be complete for Dillian Whyte and UCAD. We all know why, don't we? Charlie Giles, British Box Border Control chairman, who was also on the WBC committee, so he would have been fully involved with all of this on both sides, because obviously he had a good relationship and would have known everything that was going on with UCAD, and of course with VADA, knowing that Dillian Whyte passed all VADA. But Charlie Giles, he petitioned to WBC for Tyson Fury to replace Dillian Whyte as the mandatory. It's all on record, it's on public record. Not accusing Charlie Giles of anything, but it stinks. I know that much. So when Dillian Whyte was even cleared of any kind of wrongdoings, when UCAD put out that the A sample was a contaminated pot. Wasn't a contaminated sample, contaminated pot. And how do we know that? Because Dillian passed the B sample. It's the same sample. You pee into one cup, you pee into another cup. One of the cups is tested, there was an issue with it. So they test the other one. That one come back fine. People who keep talking about Dillian Whyte's B sample. He passed it. But people don't want to believe that. They don't want to hear any of that. People may say, but Dillian Whyte, he turned down WBC order to be fighting King Kong Luis Ortiz when that was ordered. Yeah, it was ordered for the secondary mandatory position. So had Dillian Whyte have won and defeated Luis Ortiz, he still wouldn't have got a world title shot because he had to wait for the Dominic Brazil one to be completed. So you're talking another 2, maybe even 3 years later, he would eventually got it. So he would probably still be in the same position as what he is now. So it would have made absolutely no difference. And Luis Ortiz was coming off a knockout loss at that point, by the way, so he shouldn't have even been there. Okay? But that said, we can fast forward to now. He's got his world title shot. And it's Tyson Fury. Brilliant. Yes, it's a huge stage. But Dillian Whyte's going to have to fight a much harder opponent in Tyson Fury than what he would have done Deontay Wilder. We can all agree on that one. But again, stylistically, who knows what would have happened? Had Dillian Whyte have fought Wilder, maybe Wilder would have smoothed him out. We don't know. It's all about styles. Personally, I think that Dillian Whyte would have just mowed through him and done him quite early. And I've been saying that for the past couple of years, way before Fury done it. which is why I was pushing for that particular fight, which is why I was going in on the WBC for not ordering Wilder to do that, allowing Wilder to freeze Dillian Whyte out with that personal DM message saying how I'm going to freeze you out, I ain't going to fight you. Should never have been allowed to do that, but he was. To the point where even Dillian Whyte said to Wilder, because Wilder said, if you fight Luis Ortiz and beat him, I guarantee you got me next. Dillian Whyte went back to him and said, okay, I'll fight him next, no problem. I'll knock him out as well. If I knock him out, you don't fight anybody else, but you fight me. Wilder refused to do it. This is all on record. So yeah, Dillian Whyte has every right to complain to Mauricio Sulaiman. He does. Should he be concentrating on Tyson Fury? Yes. Will he be concentrating on Tyson Fury? Yes. But he's going to get a few things off his chest. Now, I don't know whether or not the arbitration case is still going on. Will he, when it's all said and done and the dust is settled, will he still only get 20%? Maybe he will, maybe he won't. It's still good money, of course. And yes, it's not always about the money. A lot of it is about principle, which is why he was confronting Mauricio Sulaiman about it. Where Mauricio Sulaiman is saying, oh, you're my friend. You're welcome to come over to Mexico and all that kind of... What do you mean, you're my friend? If that's how you treat friends, I'd hate to see how he treats enemies, honestly. But anyway, that said, most importantly, let's see what happens. Yes, Dillian Whyte has eventually got his world title shot. Yes, he had some bumps along the road, or a bump along the road against Povetkin, the first fight. But he got him done in the rematch. But even then, he wasn't awarded the WBC Diamond belt straight after, which the first fight was for. He wasn't. He had to wait for a long time and had to go through court cases and all these kind of things just to get his mandatory position back. Which is absolutely ridiculous, it really is. But again, Dillian Whyte was fighting the likes of Povetkin. He was fighting Parker. He was fighting Rivas. He was fighting all these other kind of guys and Chisora rematch and what have you, when he shouldn't have had to have done. He should have fought Wilder a long time ago. We can look at it and say, but he got more money for fighting Fury now, today, than what he would have done for Wilder. Yeah, for sure, he would have done. Bigger profile? Yes, definitely. Bigger stadium, bigger capacity? Absolutely. More money? Absolutely. More limelight, more people watching? Absolutely. But it ain't the point. It ain't the point. Dillian Whyte should have fought for this world title a long, long time ago. Anyway, footage in the description box. Go give it a click, give it a watch if you haven't seen it already. Drop your thoughts below, click thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next video.